Addicere is the Latin root for the word addiction, addicere. Webster's Merriam Dictionary defines addiction this way. Addiction is a compulsive, chronic, physiological or psychological need for a habit-forming substance, behavior, or activity having harmful physical, psychological, or social effects, and typically causing well-defined symptoms. A compulsive, chronic, physiological, or psychological need for a substance or a behavior or an activity. Addiction. Welcome to Finding God in the Times of COVID. Today is July the 24th. I received a book this week from a cousin of mine, Annie Hernandez. It's entitled Inward. It's by Yung Pueblo, who's an Ecuadorian writer and activist. Young people is what his pen name means. And he writes this short phrase early on in the book. I was never addicted to one thing. I was addicted to filling a void within myself with things other than my own love. I was never addicted to one thing. I was addicted to filling a void within myself with things other than my own love. Because we all have them, don't we? These little pockets or voids within ourselves that we go about our days seeking to fill up with a little of this or a little of that, or maybe a lot of this and none of that. Maybe it's the way we talk to ourselves about ourselves that's not so kind or loving. Maybe it's a way that we distract ourselves from whatever it is that needs tending in our life. The void within ourselves. Different people talk about filling it, of course, in different ways. Some talk about the development or the cultivation of the ego as being an attempt to fill that void, to find meaning. And Richard Rohr says that the ego is really the booby prize in life. You know, it's like the second best or the third best thing as we, develop that ego that attempts to be resilient in this world. But it's not the true thing, not the real thing. In the letters of John writes these 3 letters in the New Testament. In the first of those letters, he has this teaching. He says that God is love, and that those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. Sort of like Yung Pueblo's idea of filling himself with things other than his or her own love. That greatest commandment that Jesus gives is you love your neighbor as you love yourself. So for God to abide in us, for us to experience love in that place of void or need, in order for us to experience it, right, we have to love ourselves, accept ourselves, fill ourselves with that own love. Which isn't a one and done thing. Instead, it's this ongoing practice and exercise of recognizing the addicere, the addiction that we have to filling ourselves with those things that ultimately don't satisfy. So let me bring us into a meditation. And as the sound of the bell fades away, why don't we think of our life like so much sand on the beach, turned up by the tide, the water, and finally settling in. once again, the water becoming clear. And we can see ourselves and those things to which we are addicted. For probably, it's not an addiction to one thing, but to filling a void within yourself with things other than love. So we might take a moment to think, at least just right now and at this time, what's the thing that, oh yeah, I'm tempted to fill myself with that. Self-talk. Not really worth it. You can't really hold it together. You can't really go without this way of thinking or that way of eating or drinking or smoking. And then slowly, quietly, you believe, you know, that love that, like the tide coming into a marsh or up a stream, that it fills you with what's needed and good and true. Just enough for now. Not forever, but just for now. May your love of God and God's love of you fill you and sustain you this day. Blessings on your day.